Excellent. Thank you for the reminder, Wendy.
That's Gwinnell.
Oh, thanks, Gwinnell.
Well, thank you, Julie. I hope everyone had an enjoyable holiday, and we're back in 2024 for Zoom and Tell. We are pretty well set for topics for the first 6 months of 2024. So tonight, as you know, it's our favorite purchases. I don't know, we didn't assign a specific limit, so probably 5 or 6 or 8, something like that. Whatever you were able to acquire and you'd like to share tonight. This is really about our guests sharing items that they acquired this year, and I'm sure there'll be some fun little stories about where you found it, how you found it, and who found it for you. Those are always fun to hear. So next month, I'll just go ahead and do my preview for February now. Jonathan Furman is going to be doing comports and compotes. He'll be leading the program next month. And then in March, Christine is going to be doing Cambridge Animals, which will include decorations that include animals, as well as like turkeys and swans and bunny boxes and stuff like that. So those are the next 3 months. So you can kind of be looking through your cabinets and seeing what you can bring for those programs. Thanks, Julie.
Yes, thank you, David. And now, as always, I'm going to mute everybody. I've got to get all my buttons back here. So we're going to mute everybody, and then we'll just start with Freeman and Jeannie, and we'll put Jeff on deck, please. So let me mute everybody, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now we just need, as I said, Freeman and Jeannie are up on top, and then Jeff will be on deck.
Julie?
Yes.
Freeman is running into the kitchen right now because he's got everything in there and he's got his computer on. So I get to look.
So you get to look. Okay.
Yeah, I observed to see what he put on the table.
Okay.
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Freeman needs to unmute himself.
Unmute it.
Excellent.
And yep, my camera's turned on. So I went into the other room. Well, since this is January, we thought we'd go with a snowflake. So this is the Fernland Rose Bowl.
Yes, it is.
So a nice little piece. Jeannie likes the Rose Bowl. And then the daffodil cruet. This is one of the few pieces that she needed to finish out her daffodil collection. She should be able to see the daffodil etching on it. Right, Greg? Greg could see the daffodil. And then one of her nice finds of last year was the Crown Tuscan draped lady.
I think I bought anything from Sunday.
So a nice Crown Tuscan.
I did
And
find
then you asked, did we get it for Christmas? No, but we got it almost for Christmas. The green bud vases. That's the 4 items that we found last year and are all neat.
Well, I'm very envious of that little Fernland Rose Bowl. I have friends that it would look very nice with, and it could keep it company. So thank you for sharing beautiful pieces and a great find on that on the flower frog. It's absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing. It's good to see you both. And from there, we're going to move on to Jeff, and we're going to put Phil on deck.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody. Today, my Elaine top hat was one of my favorite purchases in 2023. You can kind of see that. Very cool. I like the unusual, not so easy to find pieces. And this is one that I bought, if I can get it in the picture. It's the 15.5-inch 3-part relish with the metal tray. I don't remember the name of the metal tray, but somebody can clue me in on that. And the last one, thanks to our last Zoom and Tell information, my bunny box, the small bunny box with, of course, a candy in it. So that was really cool. These Zoom and Tells are so great for buying stuff, finding things to buy. That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome, Jeff. And I love that Elaine piece with the ormal. We call it the ormaloo, whatever that little.
Oh, that's
thing.
it.
Yeah, the ormaloo. That is
Yep.
awesome. Did you get that off of eBay?
Nope.
I saw one on eBay that had
Oh, maybe.
ormaloo.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I was admiring it, but unfortunately, since we always are saying how we buy things, if anyone ever sees a tray like that in Chantilly, buy it and I will get it from you. I've never seen one.
I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. And the bunny box, like I said, it's all about education here. So
Yep.
it's great that we learn something every month and we can apply it to our shopping habits. As
Yeah.
my husband calls it, I have a habit. Okay, great. So thank you so much for sharing. And we're going to move on to Phil and we're going to put Christine on deck.
All right, hello everybody. This was kind of an interesting piece I found. I almost didn't buy it because I'm not really a big Rose Point fan, but I've heard a little bit of chatter about this. So, of course, I talked to Jeff and he says, you better go back and buy it. And I thought, well, the guy wants $75 for it. I'll offer him 50. If he gives it to me for 50, I'll take it. And sure enough, right off the bat, I didn't even have to hesitate, and he gave it to me for $50. So this is that flower center with the Cambridge nappies that I had put on. I don't know, can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the piece I almost didn't buy. And as you can see, I've never seen etched nappies before. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, that was my most important thing, I guess, this year that I bought. And of course, I put it on my 14-inch platter. So it sits nice there. I've got lots of Rose Point on there for a guy that doesn't really, for Rose Point. So, but that's about it. That's the piece that almost got away. So, but everybody told me to buy it. My wife told me to buy it. Everybody told me to buy it. So there it is. That's what I got.
That's a great looking buy right there. Absolutely great looking buy. And I'm sure it looks beautiful on that tray. Absolutely beautiful.
Well, I don't know. Let's see if it does. I don't know. You can't really see, but it's kind of there. Yeah, it does look good, by the way. So,
oh, nice.
So,
yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate that. And I know sometimes we just go, oh, if I could just get a little cheaper, but every now and then we got to splurge. So I'm glad you splurged.
I've never seen the bowl like this in person. I've always seen it in the books. And then I don't know. I broke down and bought it.
Yeah. So Gary, you're so familiar with Rose Point. Is that a hard piece to find? The nappies? Or how about anybody else? Can they weigh in? How hard are the nappies to find?
Julie, the nappies and the peg vase are very difficult to find.
Thank you. So
if you have a chance to buy them,
yeah,
and they're reasonable, you probably should do that. There'll be a customer out there or someone looking for them.
Yep. Thank you. Well, thanks for weighing in, David. Appreciate it. I saw Gary finally wave. So I was just kind of curious because I'm not a Rose Point collector. I know some of us aren't on this call. So I'm just always curious how hard some items are to find.
Man, I'm really surprised that it actually is where I have it sitting on a black table. It's really pretty. I have
So
to
guess-
admit.
Are you going to be buying more Rose Point now, Phil?
Well, that's a funny question because the last group of Rose Point I bought, I actually had probably, I don't know, 30, 40 pieces in a cabinet, and the cabinet tipped over and shattered all but 3 pieces. So I thought, well, okay, Rose Point's bad luck. But I ended up with this here that I bought. This is isn't this a mayonnaise, I believe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the comport. So with the cool base, I love these bases as a stem. So, but yeah, I ended up buying those to go with it, and it looks pretty good.
So really what you're telling your brother is you'd like more Rose Point for Christmas.
Well, I'm not going to admit to it yet. I haven't
Okay.
yet. But
Okay, just checking. All right, so at least you know what to buy him next year, Jeff. It's all good. Okay, so next we have Christine up, and then we're going to put Tim on deck.
I have to say this was the most difficult assignment yet. My favorites. It was really hard. I'm glad you gave me a number limit. So, but we're going to go with these. So this is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So you can see it. I'm going to take the blur off. I apologize. So I was trying to make it so you didn't have to see a background behind me, and it made it worse. All right. We'll go with this. So I don't know if you can see it really well. So this is the ship, one of the ships, and I had a much smaller one, and I had no idea that this one even existed. There's a little damage at the top, and it doesn't have the piece at the top, but I just thought it was really cool. Really a neat piece. This is one of the candy containers to add to my candy container collection. And then I actually had this one before. This one actually had the candy in it. I am not sure if this is original candy or someone just added this candy. So I guess I'm going to have to do my research on this to find out if it did. But it was actually in the best condition of all of them that I had found. So yeah, I like that. For those of you who know me really well, you know I love the lab stuff. Julie knows that really well. And so those of you who went to convention, of course, saw that I purchased this. This is actually, so this isn't the one that's in the box, but this is what it would have looked like. So you can see, I don't know if I can do it so you can see the graduated cylinder. I've actually purchased 4 graduated cylinders this year, 2 of them in the box, which was really cool. Another piece I got was a perfume. This has so you can see it has the gold encrusted Rose Point on it. Has a beautiful dauber, and that's what's so surprising about it. And then I also love bunny boxes, and I got a chance to purchase just last fall, in fact, one of the satin bunny boxes. So you can see the satinized one, which I thought was really cool. And then this is another piece I think is really unusual. I did a little bit of research on it. It's actually a powder box. And if those of you who know a little bit about lab stuff, you know that they actually made powder boxes out of their mold for petri dishes. This was actually the mold for the petri dish. And it's our beautiful powder box. And I discovered it because I kept looking at it and I said, that sure looks like a petri dish. It was really thin like a petri dish. It fits just like normal. And I had one of someone I know who works with petri dishes all the time measure hers. And this was within 2 millimeters of the size of hers. So they're very close to that. So, and then this one is so they could do, watchmakers used it and several other ones they could do. It has a little dropper to it, which is actually in wonderful condition. And so that they could drop like benzene and stuff. Watchmakers used it, and of course chemists used it as well. I have lots of stuff, but I won't bug you all night, so that's it.
Yes, you got that little one in the box. I tried to box you out before you got there, but you know,
I know.
I couldn't quite beat you to the punch. But I have since purchased 2 more besides the
Dang.
big one that I got from Freeman.
I've
So
been watching. I'm telling
yes,
you, I've been
yeah,
watching, Julie.
yeah, I know you have been.
I
So
know. I
yeah.
was trying to buy one for you from someone that had one, but didn't succeed. You and I have to talk later, by the way. We had to have a
Well-
private conversation.
Well, thank you. So I always enjoy the scientific glassware because a lot of people don't know I'm actually a chemist by training. So I grew up using a lot of this glassware and thought nothing of it until I became a collector and said, why didn't I just keep one of those from the lab? But most of the time it was not Cambridge. But thank you for sharing those. It's nice to see the comparison between the clear bunny box and now the satin bunny box. They should visit one another. And I'm sure we might see another bunny box maybe tonight, not sure. But it's always nice to see pieces that are very similar, but are maybe decorated a little bit differently. In this case, we're looking at a satin version versus the plain clear, not plain, clear glassware, crystal. So thank you so much for sharing that, Christine. And yeah, we will talk offline about the scientific glassware.
We'll talk
So-
later.
Yeah. So next, let's do Tim, and we've got Les on deck.
Thank you, Julie. And this last year, we were extremely blessed to be able to buy some very nice Cambridge glassware. And I'll start out with this one. This is an ebony bowl, oblong and has the highlights. It's just darling. It came with a brass base and it never really fit it, so we don't use it. Some of you have seen this piece before. If you were at the convention, you got an opportunity to see it. Carmen Everglade bowl, 3-footed. I've been told, well, Lynn Welker saw that and he said, I think there's only 2 of them. You got one and one's in the museum. Very proud to have had an opportunity to buy this. At the same time, this one came up. There's a 2 light Everglade and Carmen. This one, Gwinnell. Have you ever seen this before? It's a finger bowl in La Rosa. And I've been told that's very difficult to come by.
Very hard. I've got a mocha one.
Wow. I have a mocha and I also have the blue.
I've got a blue.
So, but this
Got a
will.
green, but it broke in shipping.
Oh no.
You have to play.
I've never, out of the finger bowls that we've purchased in the Caprice, I've not had a underplate for any of them yet. Have you got any underplates?
I've got one for the blue.
Okay.
That's it.
Next up in the Everglade family is the big flip bowl, and that's the buffalo hunt scene.
Satin.
And it's in satin. This one looks really beautiful in there. This is the drape lady in the blue satin. Then the large drape lady in satin and clear sets right down in that. Looks wonderful also. Amber, large drape lady. And last but not least, this is your light emerald in satin. And black like that, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's stunning. This has got the old style base on it also. And that's what I had to show tonight.
Gorgeous pieces, gorgeous pieces. The Everglades. Oh, outstanding Carmen Bowl. We're all drooling. It's just wonderful. I'm particularly fond of the very nice big drape ladies. I like the satin green. I don't know what it's just something, a color that really I'm drawn to. So beautiful pieces. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm sure the Carmen set with the candles and the bowl are probably looking outstanding in your cases. So when you're ready to make room for something else, you know who to call.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it so much, Tim, and your lovely wife as well. So Les, you're on deck, and then we're going to go to Mary and Jeff. Or Les, you're up, I'm sorry, and Mary and Jeff are on deck.
Okay. Alrighty, so I think probably by now many of you are aware that my prime collecting areas are opaque figural, including Everglades, and enamels, and then nudes, but mostly just the ones that are decorated in some way, which keeps the numbers of them down. I'm not like Lyle that I want to hoard these nudes, but this one I just never thought I was going to be able to add to my collection, and there's not very many of them known to exist. So I'm just shocked that it became available, and it's Carmen, and then it's gold encrusted Portia. So on the foot, it's got the gold encrusted portion. It's in great shape. So it just, for my collection, it just means the world to me that I was able to add this to the collection. Another nude that's really bizarre. It's a pair of candlesticks, nude candlesticks, and it's got the third type of top to it and the latest version of the nude candlestick, and it's filled in the arm here as well. So it's a very later piece among the nudes that were decorated. But for the gold incrustation, it's got, I don't forget the angle here good. It's, well, you could say it's candlelight variant. It's part of the candlelight etching, but it's what they normally put on just the Beaubochet. And so why on this candlestick they didn't put the medallion for the candlestick, but rather just the, the wrappings. But they're just really cool. There's a pair of them, and they're just mint. So for me, in my collection, wonderful addition this year. I had two pieces of Everglade. I've got most of the pieces in violet. I've been working at that. Well, I've been at it for like 30 years. So they come your way if you keep looking and people know it. So this year I was able to add the violet candlestick. It's just one. It's the single, but it sure goes well with the other pieces of violet Everglade that I've got. And then the other piece in Everglade, there's a bit of it that's opaque, and that's the same candlestick with the pink opalescent. Now on this, we've had a lot of discussion among us, those of us that enjoy the research. This sometimes called experimental, but there's really probably too much of it to be experimental. I have another 6 pieces of this pink opalescent in the Arcadia line without working very hard at it at all. So I tend to think that it was briefly production and went out to the glass distributors for a trial run. There's just too much of it to be calling it flat out experimental. Normally with experimental, we think, it's half a dozen pieces or something like that. So anyway, they're, a very hard piece to find, again, these candlesticks. So again, as a Everglade opaque collector, I was really tickled. And then the last piece was at an auction and very different. So it's the vase, often with the top is a cocktail shaker. This one is etched dragon. And, I got several dragons. I mean, most of us just drool over the dragon. Because there's not a lot of them, I suppose that's why we drool. If there's not many, we like them that much better. So with this, I thought, well, it's got the etching dragon on the peach blow. And normally we've said if the top up here is plain, then there should be it should be a cocktail shaker, and you got the metal top. And well, this one does not have any etching, although I don't know what border etching would really go with the dragon. But I tried. You cannot put a top on it because it's too thick. So apparently this was meant to just be a vase. And again, if you like dragons, and a lot of us do, because there's not that many of them, it was an additional nice piece to add my collection this year from auction. So thanks a lot, Julie. That's what I've got.
Oh, you're welcome, Les. And be still my heart on those candlesticks that are etched candlelight. I think, I don't know who would beat you to the table first. It would be Jonathan Furman or myself, but we both collect candlelight, and that is outstanding. I think I have a set of Beaubachets that,
Have
that
that.
reminds me of the Beaubachet pattern, only because the Beaubachets do not have the medallion in them. But outstanding pieces, Les, as always. And thank you so much for sharing. It's always interesting to hear about these experimental pieces, and are they really experimental or not? How much is really found? We know, there is violet out there, but obviously in the Everglades, it's extra special. But really, this pink opalescence, we have discussed it in the past on Zoom and Tell. So it's nice to see other pieces in it that we don't frequently see. So thank you again for sharing. It's much appreciated. Next, we're going to go to Mary and Jeff, and then we'll have Gary on deck.
All right, I'll start with what's in front of us here. We both really like Heather Bloom, and we have quite a few console sets. Maybe I'll hold up the so we do have a pair of candlesticks, but we'll just show the one, the keyhole, decagon, and the 3400 bowl. But I just love the color. And then another one of the favorites this year was the Crown Tuscan Ram's Head bowl with the sides that kind of curve down. I love the opalescence of that. We do have a pair of
Matching sticks.
candlesticks, Ram's Head, Crown Tuscan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's one of those to go with it. So that'll be going out on the table. We got this not too long ago, so we haven't had a chance to use it yet. We still have the Carmen console set out right now. And then Everglades, this was a tulip vase that we got at the glass stash. And I've showed this before, but this is one of the favorites that we bought this year. Another favorite, and again, I think I showed this before too, but the ivory basket from the auction, from last year's auction. I just love that. Love to find more. And then just a couple more pieces. We could have kept going, but so we won't. Was the community line tumbler and helio. And I love this pattern, and I would love to find more pieces of it. So hoping to find more community line opaques this year. And then last was the statuesque bud vase in amethyst. And we found this at a shop, and the dealer said it's got a chip, and she didn't charge much for it because of that. And honestly, we've looked it over a million times and we can't find a chip on it.
There's no chip.
So I don't know, but looks good to me, and it's sitting on a shelf. So that's it.
That looks good to me too. It looks beautiful. Oh, I'm really fond of Crown Tuscan, a lot of you know, and beautiful Ram's Head bowl, really beautiful. I do like the more little unusual shape where it's flared a little bit, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure it looks beautiful at your house with all your sets that you have out, and you change them around for the holidays, which is always nice too. So thank you so much for sharing, as always. It seems like we have an awful lot of Everglades that have shown up tonight. We're going to have a bigger program about Everglades, obviously. I know we've had some in the past, but I don't think we've done a Zoom and Tell on it. So I'm surprised that I know Tim has collected it for a long time. I know other people have collected it. I didn't realize that it's becoming more popular with a lot of collectors. So thank you for sharing that vase. I think it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Next, who did I have up? I think I had, who did I have on deck after you guys?
You had Gary.
Gary, thank you. I didn't have him circled. Normally I circle. Okay, Gary, you're up. And then after Gary, we're going to go to Bill. Bill, you're on deck. Gary's being quiet.
Gary, you need to unmute yourself.
Yep, unmute Gary. Let me find Gary and see if I can get him. There we go. I'm going to ask him to unmute.
Okay. I'm here. Anyway, a friend of mine found me the mate of this. Can you see it? Rose Point 34. I think it's a 3400. No, I don't know what it is. Is it the pristine 596 or the 3439? 37. I don't know what they are. But anyway, it's a salt and pepper shaker. I never had them before, ever. And so I have two of them, a pair. And I found out that the person that had the other one had had it for 30 years and had never found the mate. And I had one, and then the guy got rid of the other one, and I got it. So I have a mate. Then, now this last year, I found another grapefruit chiller with a liner. I found two of them from a person, and that goes with my third one. And they're good. But several years back, I found a lady that her parents had come from New York or from Pennsylvania. I can't remember now what she told me. And she had this item, and she had put it on Craigslist and couldn't get anybody to buy it. And then she put it in the garage sale. And she had a lady pick it up, but it was $100. And she said, no, that's too much money. I can't buy this. So I bought it for a lot of money. And it was a tankard. How many tankers have you ever seen in Rose Point? They're unusual. Rare piece. The last piece I'll show you, which I didn't know what it was either. And this is a vase. It's a 86 is all. No, that's a tankard. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is, but it's just the base. I got it written down in the book. I can't remember any of the numbers and stuff. But anyway, that's what it is.
The blank is in the 35-37 catalog, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, it's in the old catalogs. And I can't remember. I could have Jill look it up, but there is a number for it. Is this the pristine 596? You think? Yeah, I think this is the pristine 596.
Gary, can you take your finger off the stem? I'd like to see, what's the stem look like?
You see it? It's the only one I ever seen. That's like that candy box. I had that. I couldn't find it a while ago. I was looking for it, but I got that 3,900 candy box, and the lady that had it for sale said it was a mayonnaise bowl. And I kept looking at it, and I kept looking at it on the picture she had of it, and I said, "What mayonnaise bowl is that?" You know. And so then, when I finally figured it out, it was a 3,900 candy box with a different base. And I sent you the pictures, Jack, and I can't figure out what I've done with it now. I was going to show it to you again, but I can't find it. Well, anyway, that's all I have, guys. So you guys, thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Gary. Those salt and pepper shakers are outstanding. And I would imagine those are silver tops with them. If I had to guess, maybe Wallace.
No, they're chrome.
Chrome, really?
Yeah, chrome is all they are.
I'm surprised by that. I would have guessed silver.
Yeah, I would have thought too, but they're
chrome. Wow. Okay. And that tankard is spectacular.
Well, the only one I've ever seen. But-
Best garage sale find you ever got.
Well, I went to the garage sale side. That Grant wanted it just as bad as I did.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate that. And yes, that grapefruit icer is really very cool. And just a question, I guess I don't have one in Chantilly, obviously. How much bigger in diameter is that than the cocktail icer? Just approximately.
You want the dimensions on the icer itself, or do you want
No, the grapefruit.
the
portion?
part
Yeah,
of the
we know the
bowl?
icer goes
It
in
looks
it.
like it's the same shape as this particular line. It's a pristine line, and it's the same shape as the shrimp
Okay.
that they have with the liners. But
Okay.
this particular one is the top bowl size is exactly 5 inches.
Huh.
5 inches in diameter across the
Okay.
top. It's, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
here, but it's right there. But anyway, it's 5 inches, and it is about 5 inches tall.
Oh.
And then the foot, like I say, is like that typical real thick foot that's on the pristine one.
Mm-hmm.
The shrimp is. It's identical to the shrimp. But
Okay.
a long time ago, I had one in my first collection that I found. There was some doctor that had moved, that decided to move to back east somewhere, but he used to be in Newark, I think, or Cambridge. And he was getting rid of his collection. This was 50 years ago. And he had one there sitting on the table for sale. And I bought it. But then after that, I'd never found one for 40 years. Took me 40 years to find the first one again. And then the other two I just found this last year.
Ah, okay. I guess that reminds us when we see it, we better get it because it may not be back.
I've learned that from experience.
Yeah, I've missed a couple of items that I have just kicked myself and I've only seen once and I can't find it again. So troublesome. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Spectacular as always.
Thank you.
Bill, I'm sure you got something cool for us and we're going to put Greg on deck.
Before I get started, I just want to mention the strong winds have taken power out twice since we've been on this Zoom. So if you see me go dead, it means it happened again. It takes the system a little while to reboot.
I'm with you, Bill. I'm with you.
Since my great-grandfather worked at Cambridge Glass between 1902 and 1910, in 2023, I wanted to try to find some of the older stuff. And at the auction last year, I was able to get the Queen salt and pepper and tray set in turquoise. And later in the year, I was able to get a couple of the number 112 7-inch plates in opal. Most of the gold is missing on both of them, but I still thought they were kind of neat because they're from the time period when my great-grandfather would have worked there. So that's all I've got.
Well, thank you. It must be so much fun for you to think about, did my grandfather work on this piece? Am I holding a piece that he made? And the history surrounding that must be just phenomenal for you. So
and it is. When I first started collecting Cambridge glass, I got attracted to the Moonlight Caprice. So for most of the time, I've been collecting that. But here, the last couple of years, I thought, I really ought to try to find some from the time period when my great-grandfather worked there. Just like you said, maybe he touched that piece. So I'm going to try to pick up a few more like that. But although I picked up some really nice Caprice items this last year, I thought these two were the favorite because of the history behind them.
Yeah, well, that is wonderful. I mean, it truly is. I mean, that's something special. And those that little set of the queen set is just adorable. I just love the texture of it, and the color is wonderful.
Well, it is. They are such a nice color. I really like them.
Yes, well, thank you for sharing with us so much. And again, historically, we got to thank your grandfather for all the hard work he did, because we're all probably or have touched something he's made along the way if we're collectors. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and also your pieces of glass. Much appreciated. So next we're going to go to Greg, and then we're going to put Scott on deck.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. Good to see everyone. I want to start with one piece. I'd had a sweet potato vase before, but I'd never had one of the bulb vases. So I was able to get this online late last year. It's one of my later in the year acquisitions. So what kind of strikes me about this is it's really a cool piece. And of course, I think it came in all the Cambridge colors of the day. It's a very utilitarian piece, not necessarily something you put out on the dinner table to impress your friends and relatives, but how for a very utilitarian piece, it's very well finished on the top. I mean, it could have been done really sloppily, and that would have probably been okay. But obviously, the people in Cambridge had a great deal of pride in their work, which we know, and the top of it is just done beautifully. But didn't necessarily have to be, but they did it that way.
Greg and Carmen always sold for at least 50% higher than all the other colors of that time period, so that they would make a utilitarian piece like that in Carmen is kind of special. And I would bet that's hard to find, right? Yeah, I think so.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. So that was one of my nicer pieces. And then I haven't done a whole lot of shopping the last couple of years, but the dam burst a little bit in last year, and I was able to thanks for David and transportation provided by Lisa and Mike Strebler. I was able to add quite a bit to my collection. So I got a nice cut candlelight cordial. And a forest green ball jug in Lorna. And a crackle mandarin gold nude table goblet in crackle mandarin gold. And probably one of my very favorite items. It's one of these things that you look at some pages in the catalog and you think, I'll never even see one of those, much less own one of them. But I saw this in the catalog many years ago and just thought, oh, that's so pretty. Well, I'll never see that. Anyway, this is I think it's a 1323 decanter in forest green with Gloria on it. And it's got the cool, I think they call it the golf ball stopper. And it's one of the neat things about it is the etching goes all the way down to the very bottom. I mean, it's almost like they started to etch the bottom of it. It goes down so far to the very, very, very edge. But that's really one of my favorite pieces in the collection that I just got this past year. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, I love that jug. Well, decanter. Sorry, decanter. That is
You can love both
wonderful.
of them.
That is wonderful. Adorable. I mean, this is my problem. I sit on Zoom. I don't know about you guys. And then I see what everybody else has, and I'm like, oh, now I want one of those. And everybody said, well, I thought you collected Chantilly. This Zoom thing is dangerous, because then I start seeing everybody else's stuff and then I go, well, why don't I have one of those? And then I go searching for it. So I will be on the lookout for one of those, Mark, because that is lovely, very lovely. So I just love the shape of that. And like you said, I'm curious now, maybe you can answer this, Les, or maybe someone else. On other etches in that similar shape, he said this etch went all the way down to the bottom and almost underneath. Is that common on this type of jug or decanter? Pardon me.
Well, the only thing I would say is each piece was done individually, that the etching paper was placed on the blanks. So each one's a little bit different. I don't know if it's common for them to go that low. Somebody else may.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Greg. Very much appreciated. Thanks for the commentary, Les. Appreciated. Next, we have Scott, and then we're going to go to David. You'll be on deck.
Thank you, Julie. What you were saying about Zoom and learning and seeing what other people have has helped us open our eyes to things to look for. Not necessarily to add to our collection, but maybe to give somebody else a chance to add it to theirs. This is a 1237 10-inch Crown Tuscan vase, and it's gold encrusted rose point. And then I guess it was the summer of gold encrusted, because we also found, I may have to walk across the room for this one. This is the 402 12-inch Crown Tuscan. I guess turning it at an angle works better than anything. And that's Diane etching.
Scott, that vase is hard to find, just plain Crown Tuscan. Say nothing about gold encrusted.
That's what we've heard. So you might see both of those sometime later this year. Hint, hint. But my favorite piece.
Ooh.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah. I'm really taken by the Ram's Head bowls in the 432, and somebody who shall remain nameless, Jack Thompson, helped me find this one this year. And next year, I hope when we do this again in January, that I'll be able to show you the Doric candlesticks beside it. Hint, hint.
God, I think there's only 3 sets known to exist of the Doric candlesticks in Rubina.
I've seen one set a number of years ago, but thank you.
Crown Tuscan and me are just such great friends. That is a spectacular vase. Now, if you could find that in chintz for me, I would be over the moon. So, yeah, I know I'm asking the world there, but beautiful pieces, and the color on that Rubina was absolutely wonderful. I think Mark summed it up when he said, oh, that's how we all feel sometimes. It's just like we see this stuff and it's like, oh, how did I miss it? But thank you so much for sharing that, Scott. It's spectacular.
Welcome.
Spectacular. All right, David, you're up, and then Wendy, you are on deck.
Thank you, Julie. Am I on here?
No.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
There you are. Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm back. I don't know. Zoom was kind of thinking for a second there. It paused. I didn't really think I bought much glass this year, especially for the collection, but you know how that goes. 365 days, that's a long time. So I went searching, and lo and behold, I did acquire a couple pieces. I have noticed, though, over the past few years, I've been limiting myself a little bit. very little bit, but a little bit. So I'll just kind of go in order. In January, I was fortunate to acquire the 3400. It's kind of a decanter of some kind with the Bordeaux encrusted around the bottom. I've seen a couple of these, and they really go over the top and with this decoration by highlighting the 3400 spears around the bottom, and then the stopper is also decorated on top. Kind of a little bit different stopper. It's not your normal 3400 ball decanter. This stopper, I believe, only goes with this cordial decanter. So that's kind of a fun piece. I don't have much Carmen gold encrusted, so this was a nice addition to the collection. And then in February, I couldn't make it to the Houston show this year, so I had my people do some shopping for me. So one of these Chantilly ivy balls showed up at the show, and Max Miller told me that he had a pair of them, but one got damaged while bringing boxes in from his van to the floor. So one of them survived, and I just always thought these ebony rose bowls are just so cool. And Chantilly is probably the most common etching you'll find on them, but it's certainly not common at all. And I was really excited to have one. And then when you least expect it, at the Three Rivers show this year, I walked in, and I do like the bunny boxes, and I've been wanting one for so long, one in light emerald. And Jack Peacock had just picked this up off the floor during the setup and had just set it out in his booth. And it was one of those moments where when you looked at it and saw it, time just stopped for a moment. And it's got the fur detailing. It's one of the early ones, and it's the larger 7-inch candy box, which will be one of our topics coming up in June. And then I got a phone call, and we always love getting phone calls from people. And a person wanted to sell their Moonlight Flying Lady Bowl. So you can never have too many Moonlight Flying Lady Bowls. So I said, okay, I can do that. So it's really a striking piece. Usually with the Flying Lady Bowls, they were sold as table centers and with candlesticks, but the Moonlight candlesticks have never shown. So I don't know if this was an accent piece for Caprice, or it was just they did a run of these. They aren't very, they're around. They're not experimental. Several of them have shown up over the years, but they are a little bit tricky to find. So that was a wonderful phone call to take one evening.
David, actually, the price list has the Moonlight in it for the Flying Lady Bowl, but not, there's no candlesticks. It pops up nice in the price list, but in neither case are there matching candlesticks.
Yeah, I've never seen them, and they probably just weren't made. You'd think we'd seen one pair by now. And Julie, I know you like Crown Tuscan. So later in July, I had another phone call, and I love those phone calls. And I was able to add the small Nautilus decanter in Crown Tuscan. This person that called liked Crown Tuscan, and was lucky enough that she had found this at some point over the year. And in the same collection, she had a pair of the Dolphin candlesticks with the Rockwell Silver Seahorse down in it. And she had lived over in the New Jersey area for a long time, and oftentimes the salt in the air from the ocean can do some numbers on decorations, but this one cleaned up just perfectly, which I was very excited about. So there were a pair of these, so that's a wonderful set. All right, Julie, that's all I could muster this evening.
Oh, well, thank you, David. And, if you feel like you overshot last year, you let me know, because those little crown pieces are just adorable. And I do have the Silver Seahorse on several items at home, and I'm sure that those would look adorable next to my pieces as well. So no, thank you so much. Those are really spectacular pieces. And obviously the Moonlight Flying Lady Bowl is spectacular. I every time I show up on Zoom, I'm always just amazed that these pieces just show up out of nowhere. And why are people not calling me? I'm gonna have to get their phone numbers from you, David. So thank you again for sharing. Those were absolutely stupendous pieces. So next we're going to Wendy, and then we're going to put Gwinnell on deck.
Okay. I didn't do a whole lot of shopping this year. But I did, am I showing up okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I did get a nude ashtray in the moonlight blue, and it has a nice sticker on it. So that was a nice addition to my cigarette collection. And we're doing a lot of Crown Tuscan, it seems like, tonight. So I thought I'd show, I believe this is the 6008 with the candlelight on it. Yeah, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And it's this one is 12 inches tall. Now I have a question about this one. Is this just kind of a guy messing around with the rim, or did they make these, you know, a lot of these things?
No, that's actually in the catalog. That's there. Well, remember I had an Elaine one that we showed here just a month or two ago, and that Crown Tuscan one you have there, that's the only other one that we know of. We think maybe there's a forest green one too as well, but that's a pretty rare piece right there.
Jack, I also have it in Crown Tuscan.
Yeah, I'm saying there's Crown Tuscan is the only color that's known. We think there's a forest green one though too, but
oh, cool. Okay. Then I don't know if you guys know, but we do have a historical glass museum out here in Redlands, California. I believe it's the only glass museum west of the Mississippi. And this I got at our holiday party of our Elegant Glass group that's local. I got a Windsor Blue large, I guess it's a console bowl. This was a gift, which I was happy about. But then we had a donation out at the museum, and I hadn't seen this piece before, and I just thought it was gorgeous. It's simple, but it's gorgeous, and it's 13 inches and very shallow, but I hadn't seen this one before. So I was just thrilled to get this as an excess piece that was being sold in the gift shop. So those are my findings for this year.
Oh, well, thank you, Wendy. And speaking of that gift shop, I find a lot of stuff at that gift shop. And sometimes you don't expect it and someone has just donated it and you're going, I'm like, wow. And yeah, I love Crown, obviously. And part of it is because my grandmother had Crown and she had several of those Crown, very large, shallow pieces and small plates. She did it all up when she did her little luncheons, and she had all of the Crown out with everyone had the little Crown plate and then the little bigger plate. And so whenever I see the seashell in that line, I really think of her. And so thank you for sharing. It brings back fond memories for me, obviously, but I love the bowl. That was awesome to get at your exchange. Beautiful pieces, absolutely beautiful pieces. Thank you so much.
Apparently the woman that donated was doing collecting glass with the shell motif, and so she also donated a lot of Duncan Miller with their, I think it was the Sanibel line and the opalescent stuff that were shells. So it was just kind of interesting to see what she had collected.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Julie.
And it's good. Yes.
Jeannie has something to show.
There's a green one.
Wowzer.
Exactly.
Yep.
Don't know where we got it. Freeman will know, but
well, thank you for sharing. So now we have an answer to that one. So thank you for that. A surprise.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gwinnell.
That's okay. We're all glad to see it. So we've got Gwinnell, and then we are going to put Lisa on deck.
Good evening, everyone. I think I've shown this one before. It's the Caprice with the silver etching with frosted inside the roses. We haven't done a lot of showing, but we've done some. Then a Caprice cheese stand in the crystal. They sold it as a comport. And I'm jumping away from Cambridge and picking up some Imperial. We picked up their Viennese blue, and these are the older set with the beading around the base and not on the handles. They were only made for about 1 year, around 1938. And then we picked up a Heisey piece, also made for only about a year. It's kind of hard to see. It's the Hawthorne. It's the that light purple they brought out just prior to the time that they did the Alexandrite and in their octagon. So that's our new finds for the year.
Well, thank you. Well, it's always, it's always interesting to me that you bring these colors out and they're only out for a very limited time and then they're gone. But you would have thought that that really light purple, knowing that you had Alexandrite, heather bloom, all these other very light colors, it would have stayed, in vogue a little bit longer. But those are really cool pieces.
Hawthorne does not change colors like the Alexandrite. So they changed their formula when they brought it back out.
Oh, that's interesting to know. So we talked about a little bit how heather bloom changes colors, obviously. And so it's interesting to know the Hawthorne doesn't. Les, I know that you probably gave us a lesson on the color. Would you know what the different chemical would have been in that particular Hawthorne versus?
Yeah,
What
it's
amid?
neodymium is the element, rare earth element that's in Alexandrite and in heatherbloom. And Henry Helmers claimed that he developed both formulas, but there is much more neodymium in Alexandrite than there is in heatherbloom. Cambridge kind of made it on the cheaper side because it was really expensive ingredient to add to the glass. I would guess the Hawthorne, it's just, a purple coloring agent that was added.
Okay. I couldn't remember what the chemical was. I know you explained it to us. So thank you for refreshing my memory on that. So again, great pieces, Gwinnell. I always enjoy how you show the differences in colors between maybe a Cambridge piece and then also what was done by other glass manufacturers. It's always very educational for me. So again, thank you so much for sharing and what you've done before too, and sharing those different colors and really showing the difference between a Cambridge color and then maybe a non-Cambridge piece, but of another quality glass line. So thank you for that. All right, next we have Lisa, and then we will have Jack and Elaine.
Well, Julie, you got Lisa and Mike.
Lisa and Mike, I apologize.
We each brought a piece. And I got to say, I really love Zoom and Tell here and some of the comments that people make, and we are listening to them. David, I'm really sorry you had an off year. I could tell. And Greg, we were happy to bring your glass to you. I don't know how we missed that cut cordial when we went through your boxes, though. So I'll start off with a story. We didn't bring a lot of glass tonight, but a fun story. A dear friend, glass friend of mine, was coming up from Columbus to visit, and as we always do when he comes up to visit, I always go to the Medina Antique Mall to make sure there's nothing there for him. on this one day, I have to take a lot of breaks. Medina's kind of a big mall, and finding a chair, I'm kind of a big guy, so finding a chair that'll hold me sometimes takes effort. And I had found nothing all day, and I saw in this booth there was a chair that looked pretty sturdy, so I went back in there, and I'm back in this booth, and you can barely see me back there, and there's a cases out in front, and about 2 rows down, I look over and I go, that can't be. And what I found 4 of these stems. This is a sherbet, but this is a very late stem with late Carmen. And I've been collecting this for a long time, and I'm up to about 5 pieces now, or 6. But when I sat down in the chair, I couldn't, the only way I could have seen it was to sit in this chair and look at the back of a case and see 4 of these. So that was my day at the Medina Antique Mall. David, you wouldn't have found them even if I hadn't escounched it first. The next kind of story I have is Lisa collects demis, and I believe she has more demis than baskets, if that's possible. So I try and find demis, and I don't know how many years ago we found a crown. Decades, Lisa tells me. We found a crown cup and saucer, and we also had an extra cup. And this past year, somebody called me up and said, I have a demi crown, demi cup and saucer. So having one from all these years, I said, yes, I will definitely buy that. And they said, and I also have an extra saucer if you want the extra saucer. So I had the extra cup for all these years. And so I bought the extra saucer, so that's precarious. So that helped to fill out her demi collection. So that was a fun thing for me to find this year. Lisa's up.
Okay. You know, when you've been collecting as long as Mike and I have been, which is a long time, it gets more challenging to find things. But this year's probably my happiest find. This was at convention at the glass show. This is a 118. If you remember, this is the next size up from the 119, and it's ebony, and it's got this lovely silver decorate on, even on the handle, and the decoration is just in wonderful condition, and I'm thrilled to add this one to my collection. It's just a great find, for my big find for the year. So
Lisa, does it have the Rockwell stamp on the bottom? Because it's a Rockwell silver overlay.
all it has is a number on it, Les.
Okay.
But maybe that is, I don't know, I don't have my good glasses on. Is that a shield? Does it look like a shield?
Exactly.
Ah, okay, so it does.
Yep.
So, because I can just faintly see it. And then it's actually, looks like it was hand numbered. Hand numbered, sorry about that. Yeah, so yes, it's there, but it's very faint.
I think they call the design Colby.
Colby? I'm sorry, Les, what did they call the design?
Kobe, K-O-B-E.
K-O-B-E, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I love this. Highlight of my year for 2023. Thank you. That's it for us.
Oh, well, thank you. And, I actually went to the antique mall in November to beat you both, but I didn't see anything. So I obviously did not sit in that chair.
You didn't say
Um,
much.
But if I had, I might have seen those. But yeah, I actually did go. I played hooky for one day. I needed vacation days, went to the antique mall and scouted around for a long time, but did not really see too much that I was looking for. That is a stupendous basket. I love silver overlay even a little bit more than crown. I like both of them, but I have equal amounts in my collection, and that is a gorgeous piece. Absolutely gorgeous. The silver looks outstanding, and I love the detail on the handle, Lisa. It's really, really wonderful. So I can see why that would be a favorite purchase of 2023, without doubt. So thank you so much for sharing that, obviously. Next, we have Jack and Elaine. And then after Jack and Elaine, I have one photograph to share. That's all I've got this evening. So we'll move to Jack and Elaine, and then I'm going to show a picture from Cynthia Cronkite.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Elaine and I are going to kind of split this up a little bit. First, we were kind of going through, and we did find some nice things this year. Some we were able to add to our Elaine collection, and so Elaine's going to show some of those things, and then after that, I'm going to share some non-Elaine things. So we had just a few things here and there. So I'm going to actually share screen. So I'm going to put up the Elaine stuff so then Elaine can talk about that. So, oh, you disabled participant
Yes,
share.
I did. I took all your rights. Let me just say this. Now you should be able to share.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Can you see that okay?
There you go.
Hello,
Okay.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We were able to get the candlesticks. There on the left, we did get a pair, and that's the pristine 504 candlestick etched Elaine. And so that was kind of double to get an Elaine piece plus a candlestick, because I like to collect those also. And then in the center, we have the 1237 forest green 10-inch keyhole vase. It is not gold encrusted, but still a nice addition to our vase case. And then on the right is the 7801 10-ounce footed tumbler that we have to say thank you to Mary and Jeff Check. So thank you that was a great find of theirs.
Elaine, is the vase a one and only as far as you know?
I'm not sure. Jack might have to answer that.
Lynn talked about that at convention. Apparently it is, because apparently it was part of a set where there were 4 or 5 different colors, and they all had the foot and the keyhole stem also in color as opposed to the normal crystal. And Lynn has said that that was a one-of-a-kind set where this came from. So that's about all we know about that. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go. This is a piece. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but this is a candlestick that shows up in the 1927 catalog. It's kind of a precursor to the 1307 3-light candlestick, but I had never seen it before. And most people I've talked to have never seen it before, and it just showed up. David found this at the White Pillar Antique Mall. And it's only a single, but it was definitely needed to be added to the candlestick collection. And 3 weeks later, we found a peach blow one, of all things. So it's just amazing. You don't see something for all those years, and then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, something like that shows up. But it's just an odd piece. I would imagine they would have etched it. I decorated it. I don't know, because those are the only two that anybody I've ever talked to has ever seen. So, but you'd think they might come Clio or one of those late 20s etches, but I don't know. But anyway, so that was a pretty special piece to add. Another piece is, and we got this at the auction last year, but this is the Bitters bottle, Cut Lucia. And of course, we have a Bitters bottle collection that we really like, and of course the Lucia, which Elaine's dad cut. And I very seriously doubt if he cut this Bitters bottle, but it was just nice to add something like that was, to both collections in one whack. So, and then lastly, we came across these here this fall, and just out of the clear blue at a little show up in Cleveland, and this lady pulled me over and said, "Hey, what do you think about these?" And it was like, wow. So that was kind of nice to add, because the gold was just in mint condition, and so that was pretty spectacular, pretty special. So, and I'm going to stop sharing, because there's one other piece I wanted to show and pull out, and I'm just going to do this hand, because it's in the Bitters bottle collection, and I'd forgotten that we were able to get this, but this is I think this is the 12 Bitters bottles, the number, but this is etched Imperial Hunt. And I have six or seven different etchings on these, but I've always looked for the Imperial Hunt, and was finally able to obtain one this summer. So pretty pleased about that. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And yes, very, very interesting pieces. The bitter bottles are always so interesting to me, and the sizes and the number and the etchings and everything that you have, Jack. I know that you have such an extensive collection, both you and Elaine, and certainly the forest green base is really, really beautiful. And, very unusual, like you said, Les, that again, not a clear foot, not a clear keyhole, but all in the green. So thank you again for sharing that. It's always so interesting to see the items that you're able to collect. And I'm always jealous of the Elaine pattern, because it comes in colors. Chantilly never came in colors, which I collect. And I kind of feel left out, that how come they didn't make any colors? But it's always nice to see that you've got amber, you've got, other colors in Elaine, and absolutely that last candlestick pair with the wildflower gold encrusted is spectacular. So thank you for sharing that so much. Really appreciate the knowledge that you give to us each and every time. So with that, I know Cynthia, I think you are on the call. I didn't know if you pulled your glass out or if you would just like me to show your picture. I'm looking to see if you're still here.
I'm here. I got home just in time. Thank you.
Yes.
But if you would show the picture, it's a little hard to hold up 6 pieces at one time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share and you can talk about your glass if that's okay.
Okay.
So
I added a lot of statuesque this past year. I came into 2023 with 2 pieces and I now have 17. I first learned about what I guess they call a Harlequin set when I was researching a different acquisition of 6 stems in 3 different colors. I ended up buying these in one of the holiday auctions, where they save all the good stuff for the end of the year and leads you into temptation. And I was pleasantly surprised at the price that I got them for. So these were actually my bargain gift to myself. I was curious. I've learned so much from all of you on these Zoom and Tells. Is this every color these came in? And then I don't know if you can see very well in the photo, but I have 2 examples here. The light gold one seems to have not just an optic, but an actual paneled shape to it. as opposed to the traditional round. And I don't know if that's a one-off design for that particular color, or if maybe there's a whole separate line of these little ladies with panels, if anybody knows.
Christine, are they just vertical panels?
Yes. And
Yeah.
actually it's Cynthia.
Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, that's my fault. I put the wrong name up. My fault.
It's okay. You had a lot to deal with. Julie. Thank you.
Yeah, the Crown Tuscan drinking vessels typically had those vertical lines.
Okay, but this isn't Crown Tuscan.
No, what did I say? Crown Tuscan Gold Crystal. I'm very sorry again.
Okay, thank you. So this is the gold crystal.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And were there other colors in this shape, or do I know?
Well, they
how
were
long-
made in quite a few colors. Actually, if going back to the photo, the way the foot connects to the bottom, you can tell that these were all early production colors. There's kind of a blob on the bottom of the foot where it attaches. That's an early production piece. The later production pieces of the nudes, they kind of wedge in just above the foot of the bottom of the stem. So this is probably the full color range at that time, other than Heather Bloom. Heather Bloom,
Okay.
and that would also have the vertical lines on it. But there's many other colors that were later in time.
Okay. Because I really don't need any more temptation to acquire more pieces, although it was killing me to not look at what you all were sharing when I was driving home. I had the phone turned away, but I'm looking forward to going back and looking at the recording for everything from bunny boxes to the Rabina, and yeah. So thank you all.
Well, more important that you were driving safely, and you can always see the videos. That's why we record them. But thank you for sharing your items with me. And I'm sorry I put the wrong name up there. I was frantically having an issue with my computer, so I was hustling, as we can say. But
all right.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's always good to buy yourself gifts at Christmas time. My cats are very favorable to me throughout the year. So every time something shows up, I just tell my husband the cat bought it for me. It's part of my caretaking duties. So it's my excuse anyway. But I think have I missed anyone tonight?
Hey, Julie, can I do one more?
You can, Jeff.
When Les or Jack was mentioning the Imperial Hunt scene, and I'd forgot about this piece. And I've been in this antique store so many times, I've never ever bought anything. And I just happened to go in there this year, and this was there. It's the ebony goblet with the gold encrusted Imperial Hunt scene. And this was, I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe I found this in that store that there's nothing in for me. So I just wanted to show that. It's a cool piece.
Yes, it is. And it's always surprising to me that when you least expect to find something, that's when you find it. It's when you're not looking and when you don't have that expectation. So I think we've all done a tremendous job this year finding favorite pieces for ourselves. And I think it's always good to reward yourself. I try to as often as I possibly can. You know, we all have a passion. It obviously shows when we show our pieces in Zoom. It's always a highlight of mine every month. I thank everyone for sharing what you have with us. It's so educational for us. And like many of us have commented tonight, it makes us want to collect other things. It makes us more so that we know what we're looking for when we're shopping. But more so, I really just enjoy all of you and the camaraderie that we share and the passion that we share about Cambridge Glass. And it was killing me last month not to join, but my husband kind of gave me this look like, hey, we're going to dinner and we can't really stop for Zoom, but I forgave him after 5 days. So anyway, thank you again. I'm glad everyone could join us tonight. David, do you have any parting words of wisdom here of upcoming things that we should be ready for? I know we talked about it before. Some people joined a little late. Maybe you just want to give us a little reminder.
Wisdom might be overstating it just a little bit, but I noticed that a lot of the theme tonight was, I can't believe the cool pieces that our guests continue to share at Zoom and Tell. I think it's just great. And I may have even used that line in one of my more recent write-ups of the Zoom and Tell meetings. It's just great. I know a lot of people come to convention and we have our show and tells at various times at the auction and the fall meeting. But everyone wants to pack up their glass and drag it to Cambridge to show. And so I think these Zoom and Tell programs really give us a much better picture of the glass that's out there and the glass that people have found. I just need to give Jeff and Philip a little warning. I am retiring this year, and it seems like the Minnesota area is a great place to shop for Cambridge glass. So if I'm in the same antique mall that you are at some point in the future, don't be surprised. No. So yeah,
anytime you get to this area, you just look me up.
All right, I'll definitely do that, Jeff. Jonathan is going to be leading our program next month on comports and compotes, and he promises to clarify the difference between those. So look in your cases and check those out and see what you got. There's a lot of different variations and patterns that they made a comport or a compote in. So that'll be fun to hear from Jonathan. Jonathan is currently cruising the Caribbean for his birthday, so he'll be back and he'll have a program to share with us. If you have a particular collection that we don't often talk always about what we collect, but if you have a passion about a certain thing, we're always looking for programs or ideas for programs for Zoom and Tell. We're in pretty good shape up through June. But if you have something that you collect, and please share it with us so we could put it on the list of things to include, and maybe you could be a presenter at some time in the future. Being a presenter is pretty straightforward. You don't have to do a major program. It's really about the sharing of the glass and the people sharing different things and sharing stories about it. So don't be nervous about being a presenter or sharing an idea that you'd like to learn more about.
Absolutely. We always welcome the ideas. We always want to know what you're interested in. Again, this is a great educational tool, I feel, besides, just getting together. I think it's great of how much we learn. And I certainly continue to learn each and every Zoom meeting. So now I'm going to go back to a few of my books and I'm going to look a few more things up and say, oh yeah, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that detail. So I, again, thank everyone for sharing and for just joining us each and every month. And hopefully one of these days, if you haven't shared now, don't feel, like you have to share, but share if you want to share. And again, we're always happy and always pleased to see what everyone has, no matter if it's one piece or it's two pieces or it's 5 pieces. Everyone else is doing what you're doing. They're collecting. We have a passion about this, and it's really great that we can do this each and every month.